Welcome to the Once Blind Podcast. Your host, Carlos.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. This is Carlos. Just wanted to talk about Resurrection Sunday, Good Friday, or I like to call it Holy Friday, because in Spanish it's Viernes Santo. Good Friday was actually something the Catholics brought in, and Christian churches decided to call it that. Good Friday. We'll start with that one since it was a couple days ago, and it's the sense of why. Why do we call it Good Friday? And people will tell you it's because sin was paid for on that cross. But it's actually a bitter-sweet Friday if you're going to give it that type of thing. But if you call it Holy Friday, you're actually separating it from all other Fridays, all other days of the week, all other times of the year, because it's really set apart. Because on that particular Friday, a man who was fully God, fully man, and we'll get more into that as we go through scriptures, but this perfect man had no sin, blameless, decided that he was going to take upon the sin of the world. Now, the night before, he had said that if this cup could pass from him while he sweat blood, that he would want it to be so, but let God's will be done, let his Father's will be done. And the next morning after being betrayed, he's standing before a governor of men of that area. And, man, if only he would have listened. If Pontius Pilate would have listened to Jesus, what would the outcome have been? But either way, so we know this was all orchestrated. Jesus fulfilled all prophecies up to that point of his life. And now he was going to fulfill the prophecy of hanging from a tree, which was the cross. But also, what we don't understand is that they first mocked him. Then they put a crown of thorns upon his head, mashed it. They beat him. They whipped him. They used Cat Nines, one of the best movies. And not that I think the doctrine in this movie is solid, but the imagery that we were giving is probably by far the best. And watching Passion of the Christ was one of those movies where, you can't watch that and not feel pain. And that is what Jesus went through. Even though that is a movie, that was what he went through when you read the scriptures, when you read the gospel. So he had to go through all of that in order for them to get him to the position of the cross, then crucify him, where he spilled his last drop of blood for us, for our sin, for what we deserved. They pinned him in between two thieves. They treated him like a commoner. He was the king of the Jews. He was, where actually is, because Jesus is still. So he is the king of the Jews. He is the king of this world. He is beyond all things. And while he was on that cross, and they mocked him some more, and even the separation between him and his Father, because his Father could not be around sin, while all the sins of the world were put upon him. Okay? It's a holy Friday. I can't call it good because of everything it took for him to pay for my sin. And that's kind of like, for me, why Christianity has been such a passionate thing for me, because at least where I come from, if someone ever gives their life for you, you owe them your life. So I owe him mine. So it's none of this is mine. It's all his. And I got to find the ways of trying to make it up. Not that I can, because it's a free gift of salvation, but it doesn't mean I can't try. So again, Holy Friday. Now, in this part, there's going to be a lot of...
If you can't say amen, you ought to say ouch.
Because now Resurrection Sunday, we're actually fighting two different holidays on this particular day. And one is beyond the holiday. It is what we base all our Christianity on. Because if he didn't resurrect, speaking of Jesus, then we have nothing. He had to have resurrected. He proved he was full deity, full God, okay, in his resurrection. And the fact that there were so many witnesses to it. But see, when it comes to Easter Sunday, we tend to just focus on the holiday. And it's Esther or Easter, however you want to call it. I'm not going to get into the whole pagan roots. Do a study on it and you'll see. It's not what people have made it out to be. It's kind of sad what the churches have done with Resurrection Sunday because, so, throughout churches, there's a phrase. It's called CEOs, Christmas, Easter only. Okay, and these are the people who call themselves Christians, but only show up to church for Christmas and Easter. So the church has decided that for those 2 days, they're going to put on a concert or a show and make it as entertaining as possible so people want to continuously come. And we're missing the point. And now, being a part of leadership and churches that would literally pray for the whole week, for the Easter service, for the resurrection service, because we're so above Easter, so it's resurrection. And we'd spend the whole week. Yet every other Sunday, we only get up a little bit earlier and pray that very Sunday for that Sunday service. Because those aren't that important. But Easter, oh, no, that one's important. That one needs a week of prayer. And we would pray for God's glory. We would pray for, God to really show up, for the Holy Spirit to move and be mighty. And then we get to picking the songs that we're going to sing, the hymns. And we strategically pick those so that when we sing them, they create an emotional response. It has to be a song that people know. Has to be one that at least mentions the resurrection because it's Resurrection Sunday. And, we get real clever with it. And we stop in between songs so we can say, oh, Lord, thank you for your resurrection. Because we want to draw out some emotion. We want to entertain you. We want you to feel as if, hey, you can enjoy this. This is a great show. Our prayers are a little bit more special. It's funny because most of the churches that I've been to are those that come as you are, so you wear whatever. I mean, pastors show up in these collar shirts with shorts on and flip-flops every other day, but on Sunday, Easter Sunday, oh, no, we have to wear our best. So we've put on this facade of a service, and now church is supposed to be a service from us to God. It is us worshiping. It is us learning more about him. It's us getting together as a community to do so. But let's face it, it's been a sad journey as I've seen how we tend to just forget about the people who've been going all year. And we focus on those so that we can try to manipulate them into staying and creating more. And I mean, for some people, it's, hey, they need more tithers. They want more money. For some, it's they want more numbers. For some, they only feel special if they have a certain amount of people there. So they lose sight, because I'm not going to say that there isn't some churches out there. There are churches out there that are trying to glorify God, that are trying to bring you to a state of relationship with Christ. And they know that because of traditions passed on that you may only go on Christmas and Easter. So they take advantage of those moments. But quite frankly, for me, Christmas and Easter are both very pagan. And yes, Resurrection Sunday stands so far above everything because it is the day that we choose to commemorate, I think commemorate's the word, the resurrection itself, where the tomb was open, but it's funny because only on Easter service or Sunday service do you hear, he is risen. And then the whole church says in such a cliche form, he is risen indeed. Well, why don't we say that in the middle of the year? Did the resurrection lose its ability to move people? Then is this the only time that we get moved by the resurrection? It is just so interesting how we take this day, this glorious day, this glorifying of everything God is. And we're taking it and making a mockery of it by using it to try to trick others into coming into church. I find it so funny. And now this doesn't only happen on Easter Sunday, but it's the sense of people come into the church and we want, my wife called it love bombing, which is what the cults do. We want to go, hey, how are you doing? Oh my God, it's so awesome to see you. And we go over and over just to see if we can reach them emotionally. Okay. It's scary and it's weird. We need to cut that out. When they come in, greet them as if you would greet anyone else. You say, hi, how are you doing? God bless you. Hey, service is about to start. Let me point you in the direction. But when you creep up to them like that, yeah, for some people, they were having a bad day. This love bomb thing actually works. But it doesn't work on a spiritual sense. It works in a emotional sense because they want to feel loved. They want that. But there's so more honest ways of doing it, but especially for Easter. So now we got our best suits on. We're welcoming you as special. We're going out of our way. But the problem with that is that we're going out of our way for someone we haven't seen. And the one person that we see every Sunday, that particular day may be depressed, that particular day may be fighting something, we ignore. And this happens so often. But again, once we get past that, the music selection, now we get to the message. And the message, obviously, it's Resurrection Sunday. It has to be on the resurrection. But instead of making it a message to glorify God and honor him for him proving to us that he was who he said he was, we turn this into, how can I trick people into wanting Jesus? And I don't think anywhere in the Bible does it say that we need to trick people into this. We should take that day and really honor the fact that we believe in this resurrection, okay, and that we bank on it. And not blindly, but give people the evidences that we have, even outside of the Bible, for the resurrection. But instead, we want to give extra spiritual, extra emotional. Okay, we want people to feel like Jesus needed you. He wanted you. And he wanted to pull you. And he wanted to bring you. And it's all about you. And it's not. It's not. Said, for he so loved the world. Okay. It's collective. It's not one particular thing. And now he saves individuals. It's not what I'm saying. But you're trying to reach people in an aspect of making them feed their own egos and feed their own emotional need for someone's love so that they can, in return say, great message? It's funny, we end every service with, did you like the service? Why? What part of the service? Was it the singing that was handpicked to manipulate me? Was it the singing that was handpicked to move me? Or the way the guitarist was stop in the middle of a song so that he can seem extra holy rather than just making himself fade out and point you to Christ? Because that's what worship is supposed to be. That's what the message is supposed to be. It's not, look at me, how holy I am, how good I am. Don't you want to be like me? It's, look how good he is. Don't you want to follow him? Don't you want to be with him? And you fade yourself out. It's a scary thing. So I do want to apologize to those that only come, because it's not the best that the church can do. Though it is what they're aiming for, to give their best that day, it's not. So I want to apologize for the fact that they put on a show to entertain you. And that's probably all they did, is entertain you physically in your flesh. But they left your spirit lacking. Because if you are a CEO, then you probably don't know much about the Bible. You probably don't have any evidences that you could ever have banked on the resurrection or the crucifixion for Good Friday. Or Holy Friday, actually. But you're left out there. So I just want to see if we can not even prove, but if I can call you guys out and see if we can get back to the basics. See if we can go back to the points where everything we do for the glory of God. Everything we do, we try to disappear in. Every single thing we do is for Him and Him alone. So that when we do get together on no matter what Sunday, it is a service to God and not to man. It is not to provoke some emotional response, but a heartfelt response, because our hearts are deceitfully wicked. The only way they're ever going to change is to have an actual relationship with Christ. But if we feed the people who come a superficial service, then they're only going to be superficial. Then you wonder why your churches don't grow spiritually. They only grow in numbers because all you're doing is lullabying people into a comfortable state. And that's what they come to. But on Sunday, for Easter, for Resurrection Sunday, you go overboard with it. And it's just, I think he says it best.
I don't know why you're clapping. I'm talking about you.
I love that guy. But either way, so I apologize. Now, I will say one thing. I have to say, it is a scary, scary thing when we play with God, when we play with His messages, when we play with His service, when we play spiritual healers, when God is the only one that can do so. So now, I hope you guys enjoyed your families. I hope you enjoyed the food, because we always, we need an excuse to make a good meal and get together on a Sunday. I hope all that is fine, but I hope you didn't miss the aspect of resurrection. Okay? It's what we bank on. It is that and that alone. The crucifixion paid for sin, but the proof that He could pay for sin on that cross, it wouldn't mean anything if He didn't resurrect. Understand that. If death could hold Him, He was not Jesus. If death could keep Him, then He was a sinner. And He couldn't pay for sin. But we know He was perfect. We know He was deity. We know that He is who He said He was. Because on the third day, the stone was removed. It was rolled away. And He was not in that tomb. And then from there, people saw Him. People touched Him. People put His fingers in His holes that were in His side and His arms and all these things. If He wasn't resurrected, we have nothing. So let's glorify and worship Him just for that. But let's not wait for Resurrection Sunday. It should be something we think constantly and every day. Not only did He die and pay for sin every day because we sin daily, but He also resurrected. And then He gave us a comforter. He gave us a helper. He gave us the third person of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit, so that we can live this life, because it is impossible to do it in the flesh. But in the Spirit, we can. How do we know we can in the Spirit? How do we know that the Spirit is all-powerful? Because He resurrected. So you see why it's serious when we look at the resurrection, not to make it just a day, trickery, or whatever the deal may be. I don't want anyone to miss the point of resurrection. So once we go through scriptures and we do a couple other things, we'll get there. And I think I'm going to start in the book of Acts, because it starts talking about all those that saw Jesus afterwards. It talks about the beginning of the church. Maybe we can draw something out from it. I pretty much don't think I'm going to keep this one anyways. God bless you guys.
Thank you for dropping by. Please remember to subscribe, to share, like, and to catch the next one.